Boom, we're live. You can't believe what happened at a Florida golf course. I can't believe what happened at this Florida golf course. Police could not believe what happened at this Florida golf course. And I know that we are in a volatile world. I know that we are in very uncertain times. And everybody's heard the stories about Florida man and the craziness that happens allegedly in Florida. But where I live in South Florida, I don't expect that this craziness, this insanity exists. And yet it does. So I want to send a shout out to NBC6, who is where I learned of this, but I want to share it with you, see what you think, and let's have a conversation about it. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You're watching Chris Uncensored, and I intend to max out my freedom of speech, share my uncensored truth, and hopefully create some relationships, some friendships, some continuity, build a tribe, talking about what's happening in the real world from a real world common sense perspective, because there is such a lack of that in the world today. And thankfully, there is a lot of people that are working to change that, right? So before I get into a deep dive on all of that, let's look and see what happened here in Florida recently at a golf course, because it is completely terrifying.
I'm just taking it moment by moment. That's what I'm going to do.
You just heard from a grief-stricken girlfriend of a man who lost his life in a bizarre, brutal, random killing. It happened at a golf course. Police say the suspect actually beat that victim with his own golf club.
Yeah, and that suspect is in jail tonight. Nico.
Okay. Now, I've heard of crazy. I've heard of road rage. I've heard of losing it. I've heard of seeing red. I've certainly been guilty of losing my temper, but sounds like someone was beaten to death with his own golf clubs. I mean, this is a insane act of violence. And what type of, I felt protected in the state of Florida because we do support law enforcement. We've got Ron DeSantis as governor. That's a big deal. I mean, I feel much more protected in Florida than I certainly would in California. And I don't expect this type of behavior from anybody. But let's continue to listen to see what happens.
Clemens is in Palm Beach Gardens with an emotional interview with the victim's girlfriend.
A horrific tragedy at this golf course. Police say they don't have a motive.
And to be clear, this is in Palm Beach County. This is at Palm Beach Sand Crane Golf Club. This is a Jack Nicklaus golf club, design golf club. The last thing I would expect is this to happen here in my hometown where I live. I've heard of crazy Florida stories or Florida man stories from other parts of Florida, but that couldn't possibly happen here, right? Well, not really, unfortunately. But let's keep listening. Palm Beach Gardens, for crying out loud. It's less than half an hour from where I'm at as I make this video.
But they say right now, this looks like a random attack. The victim's loved ones are devastated and struggling to make sense of it all.
It's a shock. You know, he's always there. Brian's my right arm.
He was the love of her life.
He's such a good person. He was exciting to be with. Always in a good mood, never depressed, wake up happy.
Dina Laurel says when she first met Brian Hiltebeitel, he took her breath away. The two lived in Philadelphia, but later moved to South Florida. 6 months of friendship turned into 17 years of love.
Just him walking in the door, knowing everything's going to be all right.
Laurel says that's what she'll miss about Hiltebeitel. Palm Beach Gardens police say 65-year-old Hiltebeitel was at the Sandhill Crane Golf Club Monday when Junior Boucher repeatedly hit Hiltebeitel in the head with his own golf clubs. The police report says a witness told officers the two ended up in a pond. The suspect jumped on top of the victim and appeared to choke him. The witness told officers Hiltebeitel yelled, "He's trying to kill me," several times.
This appears to be a random act of violence.
Police say Boucher has an extensive criminal history, including drug charges, domestic battery, and battery on an officer. He was convicted in 2023 and served almost a year in jail. Lives changed.
Okay. This is absolutely disgusting. This is sickening. I mean, I've heard of people losing their shit because their golf game isn't where they want it to be, but to end up getting choked out by, I don't know if this isn't illegal, looks like it, but a drug dealer, yeah, multiple criminal violations in the past, looks like this might be a career criminal. What in God's name is this guy doing free on the streets? And it's terrifying, right? And I feel terrible for this woman. They fell in love in Philadelphia. They relocated to Florida. They intended to max out Florida living to the fullest. He goes out to golf and gets beat to death by some drug dealer. Um, that's just absolutely terrifying. And yet, it's not uncommon. Now, I've got the Bulletproof Trump 2024 flag behind me. I had that. If you've watched my channel before, you might have seen a video where I talk about that in learning that my HOA does not exactly allow us to express our freedom of speech, but I stuck it to them in that I was told I can't have that flag on front of my house, but they can't stop me from putting it on the back of my truck. And so that's exactly what I did. I got them. I got the last laugh, or at least so I thought. And what I did not expect is that a few days after attaching it to my truck and driving around and kind of getting used to it, kind of forgetting it's there, most of the people who see the flags on the truck are very enthusiastic because the people have spoken. We have a mandate. Trump was elected, and he is now wrecking shop internally, which is a good thing. The system must be disrupted. But I kind of forgot the flag was there. So as I was going to pick up my kids from school, I was a little bit shocked when I saw somebody driving behind me and looked like they were going to rear end me. They were coming up to me at full speed, and I was determining whether I needed to pull into the median or get out of the way or take some type of evasive move to not get hit. But I wasn't sure what was happening. Was this a drunk driver? I don't know. But he's coming hauling ass, ready to hit me and tail end me. And right at the last second, he swerves around me, hanging out the window, double birds in the air. Fuck you. Blaring the horn. I don't know how he was able to do all those things and drive as effectively as he did. Swerves in front of me, stops short, tries to cause an accident. And I almost took the bait. I almost lost my shit. I almost got myself in a lot of trouble because I instantly had road rage. But there are crazy people everywhere. And it's very easy to forget that. It's very easy to get comfortable and think that things are on the uptick and you're protected. But the reality is there's crazy people everywhere. And I just saw something on X I'm going to share too. But let's not forget, I mean, this man being brutally beaten to death is a horrible tragedy. I've got enormous empathy for his girlfriend and his family and everybody affected by that. But these types of things tend to get memory hold very quickly because nobody's talking about what happened on July 13th much anymore. There's not really a full deep dive investigation into what happened at Butler, Pennsylvania when there was an assassination attempt made on his life. Not a whole lot of clarity on that, right? That's terrifying. I hope there's going to be a lot more clarity into what happened at some point soon. But also, it was only around the corner from where I live now, probably not too far from the golf course where this man was brutally beaten to death. We had a crazy person that was trying to shoot Donald Trump at his own golf course. This is insanity. And I hope that the insanity is not going to be memory hold. I hope that someone, I don't know if it's going to be Elon Musk or Donald Trump or whomever or Cash Patel. I don't know who's going to do the exposing, but you've got the perfect triumvirate of people. And we now have an administration that has a mandate. So I am extremely confident that we're going to get to the bottom of all of these things. And cheers to you. I see there's one person watching. So whomever it is that's watching, I love you. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment. You got any questions you want to get into it? Let's talk. But nonetheless, I hope this stuff sees the light of day. I hope the truth gets out. I'm glad there are people like PBD and Charlie Kirk and Tucker Carlson that are out there, and let's see, Russell Brand and Kevin 24/7 and Ron Yates and Squirrel Tribe. There are so many folks out there that are sharing the truth, but the legacy media is dead. Period. End of story. And they've just been mainlining us with bullshit propaganda for a really long time. But I saw this. I wanted to react. It makes me sick. It terrifies me. I know what is possible out there. And I often make the mistake of thinking that people think and act the same way I do. Every time I think that, I quickly learn it's not true. It is a mistake. But I remember back when I was in high school, a Vietnamese kid in my school who I didn't know well, but I knew of him, was beaten to death by a mob of kids, teenagers, supposedly good kids. But they got drunk, decided that they didn't like Vietnamese people for whatever reason, and beat this kid to death. Well, this is just the same thing. I mean, except it's obviously older people, but for a man to go out golfing, expecting to have a great day, expecting to enjoy the sunshine, expecting to enjoy his retirement, thinking that he's going to go home to his pretty girlfriend, and then he gets beaten to death with his own clubs. And I think they ended up in the lake or whatever it was, the pond, the canal. Luckily, they didn't. Well, I mean, he died, so there is no luck involved in this at all. But thankfully, there were no gators involved, but unbelievable. This is the kind of stuff that just terrifies me, right? And I don't want it to be memory hold at all. But with that in mind, I also was perusing X. And what I saw, I want to share because anger is a gift. And there's a Rage Against the Machine quote, but I want to share this because it's just, to me, exactly what we need.
Congressman, what you're not seeing is the sack of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11.
And to give this context, right, we were talking about the Trump assassination attempts. Well, the House task force right now is having a hearing on the Trump assassination attempts. And you're going to see two very live, angry individuals, one of which is defending the truth, one of which is trying to politicize 9/11 and looking to create some distress, some turmoil, some attention on himself. I don't know what he's trying to do, but I'm glad that we're seeing some real significant pushback, because at the end of the day, we need to have clarity on what actually has happened. We need to know the truth. The truth will set us free. And that's all there is to it, right? So let's go on and see this, because this is what I want more of. Not dissension, but the balls to go against politically correctness, to go against wokeness, to go against the bullshit that has been fed to us by the mainstream media for so long. I want people out there who have the internal fortitude to take a stand, because we are going to need to stand united for this country to exist, period. But here we go.
Actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret
That's
Service
a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you were trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, that not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
And you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question, please.
You are out of line,
Congressman. Don't try to bully me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are playing
politics. I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
you won't answer the question.
On our day, on our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No, I
day?
wasn't. I was there
No,
representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon, your
And
time's
did not
expired.
affect protective
You
Fallon,
know
operations.
why you were
time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to
that
pay
you're not gonna
respect for a
get
fallen
on
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did
your
you wear a
time
vest?
has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
I
No.
did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Oh my God. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Unbelievable. So this is quite interesting, right? He is going for the jugular of allegedly putting President Biden and Kamala Harris at risk. And yet, Donald Trump, there were multiple assassination attempts on him, and the Secret Service completely failed. Completely failed. There was a lack of communication amongst all of the uh, powers that be that should have been protecting him that nobody seems to be wanting to talk about. So, liar, liar, pants on fire. They're going after. It's always the person who did the thing that accuses you of doing the thing. And that's exactly what's happening here. So, the whole situation makes me sick. But I'm glad we've got leadership that is prepared to take a stand to aggressively fight the powers that be in order to enact change, which is what we need. So I can't believe what happened at a Florida golf course. I can't believe what's happening right now at this House task force hearing. I also can't believe the mandate that Trump has received from the people. So I suspect the future looks bright. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more live streams. If there's anything you want to talk about, leave it in the comments down below, and I will be happy to consider doing a video on that. But in the interim, just know you're watching Chris Uncensored. Please subscribe, like the channel, and nobody's told you that they love you today. Just know that I do. God bless America. Go out there and get some.